Hello everyone, James Wilson here. And as you may know, I haven't haven't been doing a lot of videos lately. And the reason is because I've been extremely busy with work. I work two jobs now. I have my normal job and then I work for Uber Eats and Doordash. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about the two apps and which app is better in which situation, and overall which app I feel is better to work for. And so without further ado, I'm going to talk about it. There's a lot of details that are involved in this video. And at the end, I'm going to tell you what app I think is better overall. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to explain what these terminologies mean. But Uber is Uber Eats versus DD, which is Doordash. There's some things that Uber is and Doordash they're better about, easier for the drivers. The pay, obviously, we're going to talk about how much I've gotten paid, and I'm going to do it based on 8 weeks, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things. First of all, Uber Eats, I started that before Doordash, and when I started Uber Eats, they had these things called Quest, and what that was is that if you completed a certain amount of deliveries, you get an extra bonus. You get to choose your quest. You can choose starting out at 30 deliveries. And there's a certain dollar amount extra you would make on those 30 deliveries. And it went all the way up to about 80 or 90 deliveries. I think it was 80 deliveries. And they took it away from me, actually. They took it away because I wasn't doing any ride shares. And I refuse to pick up passengers. I'm not going to pick up any passengers because people are morons. So I'm not going to deal with that. So anyways, I just do the food deliveries. Yeah, I'll do some shopping and stuff if it makes sense. And I'll talk about all that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the two apps and the differences between the two apps. All right, so lateness. Uber Eats does not have a policy of being late. What they want is the customer to be happy with the service, and they're going to give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. And it doesn't matter how early or how late you are. All the thumbs up and thumbs down will count. We'll talk about that later on in this video. Doordash has a policy of 80% or above. So it's actually easier on the driver for Uber Eats as far as lateness is concerned because they don't have a policy. Now, if you are at the restaurant and you are late, the restaurant is late, you can always communicate with the customer, no matter if you're Uber or DoorDash, to let them know that the restaurant is running late. You can do that. If you're waiting too long, you can always cancel or contact service. And we'll talk more about that as well. Cancellations, that's the next one. It's cancellation. So Uber wins in lateness because they don't have a policy. You can be deactivated from DoorDash if you're under 80% on time or early percentage. Cancellations. Uber is, I believe it's 10% or less. I'm not really sure. DoorDash is 20% or less. But I will tell you this, to be in the green, for Uber, it has to be 4% or less. With DoorDash is 10% or less. So DoorDash has a much more liberal policy as far as cancellation. So Uber is stricter when it comes to cancellations. So Doordash wins on that. So in with the good, as I was talking about, to be in the green, meaning you're completely fine. 4% or less with Uber Eats, and DoorDash is 10% or less. With DoorDash, it's going to show 90%. It's got to be exactly 90% or above. Sometimes it's 89.8 and it'll show 90, but it'll show medium, meaning that you're not doing bad, but you need to do better. I'm not really sure with Uber. If it's 5%, it's going to look bad. So Uber is definitely stricter when it comes to cancellations. Ratings. Let's talk about ratings. Now, ratings are very, very close. Uber is 85% or better with a thumbs up. My ratings is 98%, so that's good. But at one point, it was 89 or 87% when I first started. But I brought it up to 98. It was just a fluke. DoorDash is 4.2 or above. 4.7 gives you good status. You can become what they call a top dasher. I'll never become a top dasher, and I'll talk to you why that is. But my ratings is a 4.94. Promo. Let's talk about promos. Since Uber, I no longer have the Quest. Uber really doesn't have any promos, especially in my area. I might be lucky to get $1 extra on Uber, but typically that's not the case. I think I've seen that a handful of times since I've worked there, and I've worked there since February. I believe Uber Eats is infested with drivers, and that's an issue that I have. DoorDash does have promos from time to time. I've seen it as high as $3 extra per delivery. But what drivers like to do is they like to go to those areas where they have high amounts of promos, and then it oversaturates with drivers. So at the end of the day, if I get a $7 order or an $8 order from DoorDash and it's a $2 or $3 promo, I'm still going to take it because it's saturated with drivers. So, I'm going to take it if it's a good order. Tip adjustments. Uber, yes. DoorDash, no. This is actually very, very close, folks. So let me explain to you what this means. DoorDash does not allow tip adjustments, so a customer cannot adjust their tip after delivery. The tip is based on pre-delivery only. Uber, the customer can change their tip. Now, for those new drivers out there, you will see that a lot of times you'll see that it'll say something like, the customer decided to tip you more after delivery. Nice. Okay. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, that is not the case. And I'll explain to you why later. But I have gotten, I'll tell you my experience with Uber. I have over 600 deliveries with Uber, and four of them I lost some tips. 4 out of this over 600. One of them I lost a whole entire tip. The lady was rude. It was an apartment complex. It was just a long story. I'm not going to get into it. The 3 other times I lost a tip. One of the times is because I took the stacked order and he was delivered second. I guess he didn't like that. And it said I lost 17 cents, but I'm sure it was more. And then because the stacked order was also a hidden tip, and I'll talk to you more about that. The second one, I lost part of a tip. I'll blame myself for it, but in Uber, when you're delivering for Uber Eats, when you're about to get to your drop off, it'll pop up another delivery. And I looked at it and I thought it was going in a particular direction, but it was not. It was going into a direction where there's not a lot of restaurants. And so I accepted it, not realizing it. And then what happened was I took an order for DoorDash going to a restaurant on the way to the Uber, but it was closer than the one in Uber. So I snuck that one in and delivered it. And I guess they didn't like the fact I did that. So they decreased my tip by about $1 or $2. And then the last one was interesting. It was a 7-Eleven order, and they cut my tip. Then I didn't lose it all, but they cut it because I don't know why. I think it's because they didn't have a particular item, and there's nothing I can do about it. But anyways, I lost part of a tip there. But in a flip side of it, I did gain $1 one time. At a hospital, I got an extra $1. She liked the fact that I had the hot bag. And the second time, I was supposed to get $6 and change, and I ended up getting $15. She actually did manually enter the higher tip. Now, how do I know this? I'll explain to it later, but I did get a higher tip. So two out of the 600 plus deliveries, I got a bigger tip. Tip adjustment, as I was talking about, hidden tips. So let's talk about hidden tips now. Uber has hidden tips. If it's a $10 payout or greater, there is a potential of a hidden tip with Uber. Doordash is $6 or greater. Okay. Uber is more transparent with this. I think if a customer tips more than $8.01 or above, it is guaranteed to be a hidden tip. Okay. With Doordash, it's at least $6. If it's under $6, no way there's a hidden tip. So in order, and it could be anything. I mean, Doordash can show, it's $4. If a customer tips less than $4, they're never going to show the hidden tip. But if it's more than a $4 tip, it's possible. Okay, doesn't mean that they will. If it's a long delivery, they may not. They may show you the entire tip, so you take the order. So look at for DoorDash, look at the dollar per mile ratio. If it's more miles than the dollars, it's probably not a hidden tip. In order for it to be a hidden tip, it's got to be at least $6, and the dollar per mile ratio typically has to be more dollars than actual miles. But Uber wins because there's less hidden tips with Uber. They're more transparent. If the customer tips $8 or less, it's going to show. If it's more than $8, it's always going to be a hidden tip. It's clear and cut. DoorDash, customer can tip $10 and they'll show $10. Customer can tip $6 and it'll show $4. So just remember that. So Uber wins on hidden tips because they're more transparent. Acceptance rate. Seems like I accept a little bit more DoorDash than Uber. So what this is that they'll send you a delivery request, and you can either accept it or decline it. I declined about 75% of my orders. So in this particular situation, when I'm doing this video, my acceptance rate with Uber was 24%. DoorDash is 28%. That means I accept 24% of the Uber orders that are sent to me, and I accept 28% of the DoorDash orders. They're low because the majority of orders that I get are not sustainable. And in another video, I'll talk about how I accept orders and what makes me accept orders and decline orders. Where you go, Uber equals general, DoorDash equals yes. So when you get an order request, with DoorDash, it gives you more detailed information. You can actually zoom in and take a look at where you're going. With Uber Eats, it just gives you a general location. It doesn't really tell you where you're going. So in this particular situation, you have to know your market in order to make an informed decision. So DoorDash wins because they're more transparent. They give you more information. Readiness. So with DoorDash, sometimes there's glitches, and I'll talk about that. So readiness, Uber is less time, DoorDash is more time. Now this is overall on average. Uber runs tend to be ready more than DoorDash. And I think it's because their systems are different. You can be next to a restaurant with Uber, and the driver 3 miles away can get that restaurant order. With DoorDash, it seems like if you're at the restaurant, you're more likely to get the order. Well, just because you're at the restaurant doesn't mean the food is ready yet. So what happens is I'll accept a DoorDash run. I go to the restaurant. It'll say to be at the restaurant 10 or 15 minutes from now, and I'm right next to the restaurant. Well, if it tells you that, it's not going to be ready. One thing that I try to do if it's not ready is either A, you can cancel the order, or B, you can have Uber on, and maybe you can sneak in a delivery from Uber Eats. Now be very careful because DoorDash clocks you, and I'll talk about that. They clock you. Schedule, Uber, no, you just click. DoorDash, yes. So you have a schedule with DoorDash. You have to go in every single day or every other day and do your schedule. That can be a pain. With DoorDash, you just have to click. Now, there's pros and cons to this because you can have an oversaturation of drivers with Uber, and it does not matter. You can still work, and so as many other drivers. DoorDash, they try to make it to where there's a certain amount of drivers. But at the end of the day, I think Uber wins because it's just easier for me just to click on it. All right. So we're done with that so far. And, okay. All right. So talking about clocking and stuff like that, that's when I talk about lateness. They also, DoorDash also clocks you when you get to the store as well. And so at the end of the day, it's a little bit more frustrating because of that. And I'll talk to you why. So traveling, if you're traveling, and this goes back to the transparency of where you're going. Uber Eats just gives you a general location. DoorDash gives you an exact location. So if you're traveling somewhere and you're like, you know what? I want to take a few deliveries. I want to pay for my lunch or dinner or, maybe make an extra $40 or something like that. I just want to turn on the app to see what's going on. DoorDash is probably going to be better for you in that situation because you don't really know the area. So you can zoom in, and if it looks like an apartment, you can kind of tell. If it looks like a house, that's great. But if it's an apartment and you've never been there before, maybe it's a good idea not to go. With Uber Eats, you just don't know really. So traveling, I would definitely do DoorDash. Support, calling the support agents. It just seems like Uber Eats treats you more like an adult than DoorDash. DoorDash, sometimes you're on the phone forever with them and they're trying to verify everything. And then they'll say, well, you got to wait a longer, even though they don't have the order. They're willing to make the order. You're going to have to wait even longer. Uber Eats, they take care of you more and they'll cancel the order for you. More than likely cancel the order for you and give you maybe $4 or $5 for the troubles. So I actually prefer contacting Uber Eats support more than DoorDash. Customer change tip. As I said before, I think I did this as a duplicate, but yeah, DoorDash, they can't change the tip, so you can't get a lower tip. On the app, Uber Eats has less issues. DoorDash has more issues. I've seen situations where, and let me see if I have a picture here of an example of a DoorDash order here. Okay, well, that's one of them. I would never take that order. $8.75 for 21 miles. No, thank you. Let's see here. So I don't have. I have it in here. I just don't want to look for it. But it just gave me the drop off. It just gave me the pickup location and when you're supposed to deliver it, but it didn't give me the mileage or where it was going. And it was just an app glitch. So DoorDash has more issues. Sometimes the DoorDash just doesn't work. Now, I've noticed that, and this video is also good for people that's been driving as well. I've noticed that when the app doesn't work for DoorDash, it's during, times where there's heavy traffic. So around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., I've noticed that there's more app glitches. I would recommend turning on your app in an area where it's not as populated at that point. I know where I live, it's not quite as populated as my zone. So I try to open it up before that. And one of the things you're going to have to do when you have these app glitches is that sometimes it will take about 20 to 30 minutes to fix itself. But you're going to have to take the app out of your phone and put it back in, uninstall and reinstall. Sometimes it'll say load and it'll say load forever. And so sometimes it does take about a half hour, but it does fix itself. And it's happened to me a handful of times since I've started, but Uber Eats is pretty good. I mean, there's glitches, but nearly as much. Take a picture of yourself. Okay, so Uber Eats requires you to take a picture of yourself sometimes. DoorDash does not. I think it's kind of weird. I know why they do it is because of security issues, but I'm not really a fan of taking your picture. So I prefer DoorDash for that. PIN number. This doesn't happen a whole lot, but maybe once a day or maybe a couple times a week, Uber Eats will send you a delivery and they want to hand you the order, and they require a PIN number. And so you have to ask the customer for the PIN number, and then they try to look for it and stuff like that. And it's just a pain in the rears. I don't like it. DoorDash doesn't have that, which I like. So DoorDash wins there. Why do not accept? Why don't you accept the order? Okay, so DoorDash, when you decline an order, they will ask you, why did you decline it? It's just so annoying that you have to give an answer every single time, okay? A $3 order, everyone should know, why am I declining a $3 order? There's no reason to have that. Uber Eats doesn't have it. Uber Eats wins. And mask, I didn't realize this, but DoorDash now does not require a mask anymore. So that's a tie. But at one point it was just Uber Eats. And a picture flash, I want to talk about this because this is something I've never heard. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I'm not really sure. But with Uber Eats, if it's dark outside and there's no porch light on and you want to take a picture, you have the flash. It's available for Uber Eats, but not available for DoorDash. And so that, at least that I'm aware of. I looked all over for it. I can't find it. I think it's kind of weird that they don't have a flash. I have to flash my flashlight at the food and take a picture. It looks ghetto as heck. Jumping task. Let's talk about that. Uber does not allow you to jump task, but DoorDash does. So in this situation, if I want to pick up, let's say I'm doing a double, and really this is just for doubles. So if I'm doing a double delivery for DoorDash, and there's a restaurant that I'm going to, and it's taken a long time, but this other restaurant I know will have the food ready, I can go to that restaurant and grab the food and then come back. That way, when I leave, I don't have to go back to that restaurant. It saves some time. Uber does not allow that. Also with DoorDash, sometimes I want to jump to the next delivery because it's just more efficient for me to deliver that food and make, right-hand turns instead of making left-hand turns, things of that nature. So I like the ability to deliver to deliver to the other house. Uber does not allow that. You have to go exactly the way they want you to go, which is, I hate that. I wish they changed that, but that's just the way they operate. All right, so one of the things I want to go back and talk about real quick before I talk about how much money I made on these apps, I want to talk about the lateness deal. That's a big deal to me. What I do a lot of the times, I multi-app. You have to multi-app to make money now. Now, I just started this in February. I started Uber in February, and I started DoorDash in March. And I started with, the Quest, and I was pretty much just doing mainly Uber Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. maybe with a little bit of DoorDash, if Uber was a little bit slow. But I was mainly doing Uber just because I wanted to get those quests done. Well, on the weekdays, I would have a multi app on the weekdays because Uber just wasn't busy enough and the quests were not good enough anyways. But the quests are gone, so I legitimately multi app. So when I tell you my pay, it's going to be based on after the quests are gone. It's going to be for 8 weeks, and it's going to be for the full weeks that I worked. I took a 2 week vacation in between. So I didn't include that. I included just, sometimes, some days I may have taken an extra day off or so. So some of the numbers may be different. But one of the things I want to talk about is one of the things that I do when I multi-app. I do what we call dirty doubles, dirty triples, and even rare occasions, but if the stars align perfectly, a dirty quad. What is that? Well, a dirty double is a single with Uber and a single with DoorDash. And what that is that I would get an order request from, let's say, DoorDash. I accept the order request, and then I get another order request from Uber going in the same direction. I'm going to take that one as well. Or vice versa. A dirty triple is if I get a double, let's say from DoorDash, and then I get another offer order from Uber. I'm going to take that. If it's all going in the same direction, I'm going to take it. If it makes sense, I'm going to take it. In a dirty quad, and I've taken dirty quads before going in the same direction, I'll take it. So, but obviously it has to come, within 5 minutes of each other, because I do leave the apps on. Once I accept the delivery and go to the restaurant, I do leave the other app on. I don't turn it off. I leave it on because I could get a delivery going in that general direction. Now, I will say this, DoorDash is less forgiving on their time because of the lateness policy. The lateness, they clock you, okay? And so DoorDash clocks you, and sometimes, a lot of times, getting to the restaurant, even without multi-apping, is kind of a pain in the rears because they, it's sometimes hard to be. It depends on the traffic and depending on what restaurant it is. Sometimes you get there right on time. Now, depending on where you go to the customer's address, sometimes they give you more time than not. It depends on how far it is. If it's really far, they give you ample amount of time, and if it's close, you better be getting there, So, you use both apps to your advantage, and I do this every time. If I get an order from DoorDash going very quick, and then I get another Uber going in the opposite direction that are going very quick, I'll accept both of them. I'll take the DoorDash and get that done real quick, and then take the Uber. So that's how I operate. So this lateness is extremely important to me. Right now, I'm sitting at a 91% lateness for DoorDash. Meaning I'm 90% on time, 91% on time, and then the cancellation rate is my cancellation rate for DoorDash is 6% currently, and with Uber it's at 5%, but Uber wants 4%. So I'm trying to be careful with Uber on that. But anyways, let's talk about how much money I've made, and I'll tell you which app I prefer. And it is market dependent. It is dependent on your market. I'm sure it is. A lot of these hidden tips and all that kind of stuff, that's not really market dependent. I mean, the $8 for Uber and the total for $6 for DoorDash, that's a $4 tip plus $2 minimum delivery is a possible hidden tip. So that's not market dependent. All right, so let's talk about the pay here real quick. So as you can tell, for the 8 weeks, my pay with Uber Eats is more. Now, I have $3,663.02, 375 deliveries. DoorDash $3,318.92 with 390 deliveries. $9.77 per delivery, $8.51 per delivery. And these weeks are kind of jumbled. These are not the final numbers are accurate, but this week one is actually for week 7. I don't know what I did wrong, but the numbers are accurate. So let's see, 851. Let me just break that down. 851. Okay, sorry about this. So 851 is what I made. So tip plus the pay. So with DoorDash, the tip average was $5.97 plus the $3.80 pay is $9.77. And with DoorDash, $5.29 is the tip average, $3.22 is the pay. So the pay is more with DoorDash, with Uber Eats. The pay is more per delivery. Now, this is based on my acceptance rate. I will tell you this, I do feel that with Uber Eats, I drive a little bit more, okay? But I'm learning, as you can tell, I am learning to drive less. Because when you look at the actual numbers, you can tell that I'm starting to make more with DoorDash. Look at last week and the week before, very close, very close. You know, I'm starting to make more at DoorDash. There's a lot less here and a lot more here. So this can change. But this is based on the 8 weeks. I'm still kind of learning this system here. But, and this is, I average about maybe 30 hours a week, in case you're wondering. And this is, as I said, this is a side hustle. So the winner is Uber Eats by a very, very slim margin. I mean, I have to pick a winner, folks. And I picked Uber Eats to win this. I had DoorDash at first, but it's like, man, the problem is the glitches. There's too many glitches with DoorDash. And the lateness policy, that's really big. I hate the lateness policy. Now, obviously, if I just did one app, it wouldn't matter as much. But multi-apping, I use them both. But Uber Eats is more transparent with their tips. I like that better, even though the hidden tips. And the problem with the hidden tips with Uber Eats is that on high mileage deliveries, more than likely there may be more hidden tips. But people don't want to take an $8 tip going, 11 or 12 miles if it shows $11 or $12. So that's just something to keep in mind, but I think they're just more transparent with their tips overall. I think that the ratings is so close. I don't like the cancellations, but if you call Uber, they usually take pretty good care of you on that. But it's the lateness policy, and just, I know my area, so it's not a big deal. But it comes down to the bottom line of how much money I've made so far with the apps. So 3 things that are big here: the lateness policy, how much money I made, and just the overall experience with the app. I find Uber Eats just a tad bit better. DoorDash is better overall when it comes to giving you orders. They would spit out more orders than Uber does. But at the end of the day, as I said, this was close. It was close. And I just, at the end of the day, it's like, when it comes to late night deliveries, when it comes to, certain times of the day, late night and like between the hours of like maybe 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., Uber just does better. Uber just does better. So Uber Eats, as I said, is so close. I like them both. But Uber Eats wins by a slim margin, and that could change, that can change 3-4 months from now, depending on how the summer goes. Because right now, it just seems like Uber Eats is not given as many deliveries. And it seems like a lot of deliveries I've been not accepting because they were not as good. Like and subscribe to my channel. Any comments would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.